Next on CyberCrime.
I downloaded about 150 songs on my computer.
And my clients who spend a lot of time and money making their music want to be paid when their music gets distributed.
This week, the Napster debate picks up steam. How close is the recording industry to shutting it down?
Plus, it's a low-tech crime taking advantage of the high-tech world. We've got the crackdown on cargo theft.
CyberCrime is brought to you by Symantec.
Hi, welcome to the show. The debate over swapping music on the net is definitely in high gear. Earlier this week, Metallica, Napster, Nutella, and MP3.com testified on Capitol Hill, each giving their take on the future of music on the web. I'll have those details in our news block. But first, let's step back and take a good hard look at Napster. Now, for Napster, there are two parts. One is the Napster server that can help you find the song that you're looking for. The other is the Napster program that allows users to exchange songs privately. So that raises two issues. First of all, is it legal for you, the user, to download that music using Napster? And second, is it legal for Napster to give you the tools to do so? How legal is music swapping online? Perhaps this legal landmark will tell.
It's a classic copyright violation multiplied by 10 million.
Yeah, it's free music.
Monica Leung is downloading music for free using Napster. She may also be committing a crime. According to scores of musicians and the Recording Industry Association of America, you're witnessing copyright infringement.
I don't think I'm breaking the law, because it's just for me.
Napster has enabled more than 10 million users to search for their favorite songs, find them on like-minded fans' hard drives, and download the music in MP3 format for free.
I downloaded about 150 songs on my computer.
And my clients who spend a lot of time and money making their music want to be paid when their music gets distributed.
Attorney Howard King has filed 2 federal suits against Napster. His clients? Rapper Dr. Dre and heavy metal band Metallica.
$10 million is a reasonable estimate of the damages.
This is about as close to anything in the music business as what's morally right and wrong.
Metallica has been very vocal. In May, the band hand-delivered Napster the names of more than 300,000 users who they claim illegally downloaded their music. At first, Napster denied the alleged violators access altogether, but after 30,000 of them claimed innocence and Metallica declined to sue the named users, Napster reinstated them.
It's hard to sue users. There are a lot of them. They may not have much money.
Professor Mark Lemley is an intellectual property attorney and co-director of the UC Berkeley Center of Law and Technology.
There's a fundamentally different approach to copyright law going on here. That is an approach that says we're not suing the people who are actually violating copyright. We're suing the facilitators.
And Napster is betting this man will help. David Boyd, the man who led the government's antitrust case against Microsoft. Napster would not appear on camera, but did confirm that lead attorney Boyd will argue users are not violating copyright law when they download and trade music. Instead, they are simply sharing music one-on-one, something people have done offline for years without threat of prosecution.
Swapping CDs between friends is probably illegal, but it's so minimal, who really cared? But when you swap CDs amongst 5 million of your closest friends through Napster, then people care, and the law will be enforced.
In the 20s, the recording industry was battling this hot new medium, radio. They feared that people wouldn't buy music if they could just hear it for free on the air. When the dust settled, the opposite was true. If they had a song that they liked, they went out and bought the record.
One of the risks of acting too quickly to shut down a technology is that you don't ever allow business models to develop.
But when it comes to sharing music freely online, Napster is no longer the only game in town.
People have the right to use whatever technology to share their files.
William Wong wrote a popular version of Nutella, which can be downloaded from several online sites. It can be used to trade not only music, but movies, pictures, and text files.
Nutella is more difficult for the microcredit go after. It's basically grassroots movement.
And Nutella, unlike Napster, has no centralized server to manage the list of files available for download. All data is simply passed around between anonymous users, and Wong says this makes Nutella practically impossible to check down.
So the technology basically is like 1 or 2 steps ahead of what the record company is trying to prevent.
Meaning, even if the recording industry wins their battle against Napster, the war has only just begun.
It's not like I'm using it for public use. It's not like I'm selling it. It's just within my home, and they're threatening to take that away from us.
Digital music is not going to go away, and the longer the recording industry relies primarily on the threat of suing everybody who tries to promote it, the longer it'll be before they actually get behind a real workable system.
Somebody determined that it was important to protect and reward creativity, so if those laws become toothless, and as a result of it, there's far less creativity and art and music, I think we all suffer.
So it's an interesting story, Alex. And we should mention that aside from the lawsuits filed by Metallica and Dr. Dre, that the Recording Industry Association of America also filed its own lawsuit. We also know that in June they filed for a preliminary injunction to shut Napster down. Now, you're an attorney, Alex. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I think that the recording industry has a very strong case. When it comes to a preliminary injunction, there's a couple of things to keep in mind. It's a very extreme type of remedy, essentially, and what they want to do is shut it down until, of course, they go to trial. Irreparable harm. That means that what is happening needs to be stopped right now, and then they can pick up from where they left off before and put Napster back online. The other point is, are they likely to succeed on the merits? That means the recording industry, and I will tell you, Jennifer, I think that they are. I think the recording industry will win, and I think we will have a preliminary injunction in place at the end of the month.
Well, let's also talk about the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. Now, this is an act that Napster is seeking protection under. What do you think of that argument?
Right. Again, I think that the recording industry will win. I think that Napster essentially will lose. The Digital Millennium Copyright Act gives some sort of protection to Internet service providers and search engines kind of as a third party. But essentially, I don't think that Napster can really call themselves that. And what I would say is this, that the people who are downloading that music, and I'm going to get a lot of flack on this, are direct infringers doing something illegal, and Napster, of course, is the contributory infringer, and they're going to lose.
All right. Well, thank you. We'll be looking forward to updates. Thanks for that story. This brings us to our weekly poll. Even if you agree with Alex, step into Napster's shoes for a moment. What do you think its best defense is? If you think Napster is protected from liability like an Internet service provider or search engine, take A. Perhaps you think Napster is fine and it's the users that are misusing it. That's B, and my personal choice. Choice C is Napster's latest argument that it's just being used for personal use, or maybe you simply argue D. Music should be free altogether. Cast your vote at cybercrime.com. Another place to share your opinion is in our Cybercrime chat room. Our staff is there every Monday between 6 and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That way you can talk to us while you watch the show. Every week we're there to answer your questions, discuss story ideas, and get your feedback. Just head to our website, cybercrime.com, for details. And here's one more reason to drop by the site. Take a moment to check out our security scanner. It's a pretty cool feature. You just click on the icon at the top right-hand side of the web page, and you can see if your computer is infected with any of the top 5 viruses, like the Life Stages virus, Love Bug, and Happy 99. You can even find out if your browser blocks adult-related material. And after you give it a try, let us know what you think. We want your feedback. Just email us at scannerfeedback@zdtv.com. Next on Cybercrime, the Napster debate moves to Capitol Hill. We've got that story and more in our Cybercrime News in Review.
In cybercrime news this week. The music download debate converged on Capitol Hill. For 3 hours, groups like Metallica, Napster, Nutella, and MP3.com testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee over the legality of swapping files online. The heart of the battle between the recording industry and services like Napster, which provides a music-sharing software, comes down to who owns the music and what they're allowed to do with it.
Music files.
The primary source of income for most songwriters is from the sale of records. Every time a Napster enthusiast downloads a song, it takes money from the pockets of all these members of the creative community.
Napster's helping and not hurting the recording industry and artists. A chorus of studies show that Napster users buy more records as a result of using Napster, and that sampling music before buying is the most important reason that people use Napster.
During this week's hearings, Congress just listened and took no action. Senators Orrin Hatch and Patrick Leahy say they are looking to learn more about online music rather than interfere with any litigation. The FBI calls its latest crime-fighting tool Carnivore. It's a software program that can scan millions of email messages a second looking for evidence of criminal activity. Privacy advocates fear that since Carnivore is hooked directly into an ISP's computer network, it will give the government the power to eavesdrop on every subscriber's digital communications, from email to online banking to web surfing. Convicted hacker Kevin Mitnick has won the right to speak publicly about technology. In April, the Federal Probation Office denied his request to accept speaking engagements or writing assignments, but now the court has given Mitnick specific approval for 4 activities, including writing a column for ContentBuild.com and employment as a computer security consultant. A California woman is facing stiff charges after allegedly trying to give her son away in an internet chat room. 29-year-old Helen Chase is charged with child endangerment, failure to provide for a child, and child abandonment. Police say Chase was having disciplinary problems with her 10-year-old son and met a Florida couple in an internet chat room who said they would adopt her child. Chase is currently free on bond. Her son has been placed in a foster home. No charges have been filed against the Florida couple. And finally, thousands meet this weekend in New York City for the hacker convention Hope 2000, or Hackers on Planet Earth. CyberCrime is attending the event. Look for our full coverage in next week's show. Still ahead on CyberCrime.
They keep coming back. More often than not, they get away before we can identify them. They're that good.
They are cargo thieves, and they're targeting Silicon Valley for their business. See how investigators are cracking down on this growing problem next.
Welcome back. Think pirates only existed a long time ago on the high seas? Well, think again. There's a band of modern-day pirates hitting the high waves, and the loot is just as valuable as gold. Cargo thieves are waging a war against the high-tech industry. We have the story in this week's CyberCrime investigation.
They're coming to Silicon Valley to target our high-tech industry, and they're coming up here looking for hard drives. They're looking for computers and printers. They might be looking for memory modules or CPUs.
They are cargo thieves. And this police video taken during an arrest in the Silicon Valley back in 1994 shows us just how widespread the problem is. 6 years later, and authorities are still fighting the same battle. Sergeant Nick Mudio with the San Jose Police Department says this is a band of modern-day pirates that are waging a war on the high-tech industry, one that continues to escalate, and it's just not happening in the Silicon Valley. A recent bust in Los Angeles uncovered hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of Hewlett-Packard monitors and CPUs, stolen from a big rig, stored in an empty warehouse. And while the crime itself is extremely low-tech, we're not talking about amateurs. Most cargo thieves are skilled professionals.
These guys are smart. The cargo thieves in general and high-tech criminals or high-tech thieves, if you will, specifically, they're not street thugs. I mean, some of the folks that we investigate, some of the folks that we chase on these cases that we handle, are bright, intelligent people.
One specific group, believed to have originated from South America, has been intelligent enough to elude law enforcement for years.
Depending on who you talk to, it's believed that group may number as many as 200, 250 individuals. which is one reason why the cargo thefts continue. It's a very lucrative business for them, so lucrative, in fact, that it really doesn't behoove them to stop. Every time one of the worker bees gets picked off, there's another worker bee waiting there to take his place.
But police are making inroads. In November, the Milpitas Police Department, located in the heart of Silicon Valley, arrested 5 suspects associated with the South American gang. Sergeant Robert Stewart was involved with the arrest.
The 5 that we arrested in November were caught during a surveillance of one of the high-tech companies in San Jose. They were basically driving through a little company known as Quantum, which is a very large disk drive manufacturer.
The 5 men arrested were actually casing the shipping and receiving grounds at Quantum, driving this rented van out of the Los Angeles airport area. The back seats of the van were removed to make room for cargo, while a host of lock-breaking tools were also discovered inside. And what makes this case unusual is the men were taken into custody, charged, and convicted before they even committed a crime.
All 5 were found guilty of conspiracy. Conspiracies when 2 or more people work in concert together to commit a crime. These individuals did not commit the crime. However, they did work under a method that we see over the last 5 years that the South Americans operate under.
This method of operation includes watching the warehouse learn the comings and goings of the big rigs. Thieves know it's too risky to hit the warehouse itself, especially at Quantum.
In these containers, there's hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of electronic gear. And here at its warehouse in Silicon Valley, Quantum has taken every measure possible to make sure the goods are safe while they're here. But once they're loaded onto a truck and they're out on the road, it's a different story.
One of the reasons why cargo theft has become such an issue is because the physical attacks on the companies themselves, the warehouses and the loading docks and things like that have basically become too hard for the bad guys to take on. So now they've turned their attention from the site itself to the cargo in transit. And basically a 40-foot tractor trailer going down the highway is a 40-foot warehouse.
It's also a gold mine. Stolen tech components can fetch as much as 50 to 80% of their retail value, and the crime itself happens so fast. In fact, a long red light will do.
They can offload and load another vehicle in 2-3 minutes max, and then they're gone.
Kevin Fairchild knows all too well how the cargo thieves operate. He's president of a security consulting firm hired by Quantum, and it's his job to make sure the cargo thieves don't make off with any cargo.
Well, you got to make a stance, and Quantum's made that stance. They have not, and I'm proud to say, for the last work with Quantum for the last over 5 years, they have not gotten hit by these individuals while we've been on watch.
But Fairchild knows the battle is far from over, and the watch needs to be ever vigilant.
They keep coming back. They know that they get nailed when they come in here, but they keep coming back. And more often than not, they get away before we can identify them. They're that good.
4 of the 5 men arrested in November received 3 years. The remaining 1 received 2. And if you talk to the prosecuting attorney Frank Berry in San Jose, California, he'll tell you that's not enough time. In fact, the men will most likely serve only a year to a year and a half of their sentence. And law enforcement says they expect the men to go straight back to work. Still ahead on CyberCrime.
You don't want to leave someone alone unsheltered on the internet by themselves unless they know what they're doing.
A cyber cop shares his theory on safeguarding your children and business from predators on the net. Chaos Theory is next.
Hi, welcome back. Thanks for all the feedback, and in particular, some of those great questions for our expert C3 panel. Please keep sending them. This week, let's go to Rob from Warren, Ohio. He has an interesting problem. He says, I think someone is scanning my system. I have a cable modem, and a couple of days ago, I left my computer on. My firewall blocked 40 attempts from the same person. Rob, we went to Steve Gibson for your answer. He created Shields Up and other scanning tools. Rob, here's Gibson's advice on port scanning.
The Internet is full of all kinds of noise. ISPs do scan their own customers looking to see if they're running servers, and hackers the world over scan large blocks of IP addresses looking for vulnerabilities. Most of this is just Internet background radiation, but if you're being repeatedly attacked by a single IP address over a long period of time, then someone's after you, and that's something to be concerned about.
Thanks, Steve. And Rob, for your question, your hat is in the mail. And if the rest of you want to get one of these, then get those questions and email us at cybercrime@zdtv.com. Turning now to this week's Chaos Theory. It's time to hear from Keith Lowry. Now, I first met Keith when he was a cyber cop with the high-tech crime unit in the San Jose, California Police Department. Now, he's the Director of Security Auditing and Investigations for Pilot Network Services. But his advice is still the same. Safeguard your business like you safeguard your children. At least that's Lowry's Chaos Theory.
When I was a cyber cop, a lot of parents and community groups would ask me, how do I protect my children or my youth from activity on the Internet? And I used a comparison that you would not want to push your child out on a street corner at 2 in the morning for fear of safety for them. The same thing is occurring on the Internet. You don't want to leave someone alone, unsheltered on the Internet by themselves unless they know what they're doing. The same parallel is true for commercial businesses and entities that want to do commercial business on the Internet. If you don't know anything about security, if you haven't been involved in the security process, you must go out and learn the security process or get experts or use expertise to prevent your business from being attacked by people who want to take your business away from you.
And with Chaos Theory done, you know what that means. The show is over. Thanks for joining us. Remember, send those C3 questions and show feedback to cybercrime@zdtv.com and join us for chat on Monday between 6 and 7 p.m.
And for all the details about the stories we've covered and any breaking news, including the latest with Napster, head to our website at cybercrime.com. We'll see you again next week.